So welcome everybody to this session about disruptive mindsets transforming cities. My name is Rosa María Martín, and I'm the Technical Director of IMLAFIP, an Innovation and Research Lab of the Technical University of Catalonia. It's an honor to chair this session that we have 5 experts coming from 3 different continents, and they are going to share with us their experience and vision on how new and disruptive technologies such as blockchains, artificial intelligence, holographic computing, robotics, or eye-brain interfaces can be used to improve our cities and to improve our citizens' life. So remember what I said before, to use the ask and vote option, and we will take also questions from the floor at the end of the session after all the presentations. So let's start. Starting from my left, I would like to introduce you to Mr. Hiroyuki Suzuki. So the podium is yours. He's the Executive Vice President of Advanced Telecommunications Research Institute in Japan. And he's also the leader of the Innovation Hub activity in the Kihama Research Complex project that he will be presenting today. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your kind introduction. Let me start with this picture. Actually, I inserted this picture a few hours ago. This reflects what smart city means. Okay, there have 2 aspects of smart cities. One aspect is empower cities, and the other aspect is empower people. What I'd like to talk about today is empowerment of people by our technology. Okay, the title of my today's talk is Keihan Research Complex Project, to create a meta comfort society via eye-brain and ICT technology. I'm Suzuki from Keihan Research Project and ATR. Let me first explain a population transition in Japan. As you may know, population in Japan start declining, peaking at 2008. And we have a very big problem of aging, and 27% of population is aged people in 2015. And 80% of aged people are living alone in the same year. And what I'm mentioning is the year of 2015. And if you look at the figure, the situation is getting worse and worse every year. The other aspect, what I'd like to emphasize on, is disability-adjusted life year, DALY. This is a measure of overall disease burden expressed as a number of years lost due to ill health, a disability, or early death, and defined as this equation. I would like to note that the 28% of DALY comes from mental diseases. So what we must do something for this challenge. So Keihan Research Complex Project started a challenge to try to create a meta comfort small society which can stir up emotions, vitality, and sympathies, and so on, by combining technology based on brain technologies and human technologies, and also ICT via open innovation of 32 organizations. And the 32 organization includes industries and the universities and research institute. Okay, we set 3 teams to achieve this. The first one is research and development in different fields. The second team is human resource development, and the last team is business development support. Our target is quite simple: to create a novel type of smart society. The conventional concept of smart society mainly focus on efficiency and try to optimize components. But accumulating technologies and also progress in innovation structure can make it possible for us to achieve a new type of smart society, and if it meta comfort or richness of human mind and continuous creation of new values can be achieved. Okay, what we are saying is the human-centric, network-based, totally optimized society. Let me give you some examples. The first example is diagnosis or treatment of depression using neuroscience or artificial intelligence. What we found first is that depression can be expressed by the connection of the parts of brains of 12 characteristic functional connections. And then we could find the biomarkers for depression. The treatment can be achieved patients in fMRI self-instructed by a person to self-regulate their brain activity to maximize the circle of brain written here, which actually changes the connection between two parts, which is mainly related to depression, so that you can treat the depression quite well. And also we achieved this technique to other mental diseases, such as ASD, autism spectrum disorder, and PTSD, and phantom pain, and we found that it works quite well also. We also use another type of brain technology, brain machine interface, for rehabilitation of stroke. If you're hit by stroke, your hands stick like this, so you cannot move. If you have a difficulty to move your hands. But by training our technology, you can start moving. You can make your hand moving by rehabilitation. The other example is support of daily life activities of aged people by advanced robots. The first example in the left is supporting shopping support for an elderly customers by a robot on ubiquitous network robot platform. And the other example is support of aged people with dementia using a mobile teleoperated Android called Telenoid. Let me show you some video. This is a field test done by Care House. Okay, normally, people with dementia is very quiet and shows no reaction. But if we use a Telenoid, they start reacting very much and try to communicate each other. And based on this success in field test, we created a startup company called Telenoid Planning. And it starts selling very well and try to create new type of services for parents and you, okay? And the last example is sharing agriculture using sand culture in high floor planning beds. This is a human and environment-friendly agriculture in the sense that you can cultivate various vegetables and plants, and you can use sand without exchange for multiple times. And also, the system do not request any physical power, so that's suitable for aged people and a female. This is the concept of sharing agriculture. And what is important is that we use IoT not for reducing the number of people, but for gathering people for new type of communication. As I mentioned earlier, sand culture in high floor planting beds, you need not any physical power, so they're suitable for aged and female. And IoT technology can be used for matching between required works and available supporters, and also visualize farming field conditions such as humidity and temperature and so on. So sharing agriculture, so local residents, workable from short hours, for instance, 2 hours, based on their own schedule. So they our technique can offer a novel working way for aged and no working people and get some money or even the vegetables from it. We are now doing a pilot test of sharing agriculture with local residents in Kyoto. And registrants reaches the number of 73 up to now. And for the 1.5 months test, total participants are more than 150. And if you look at this graph, you can see we have a very good distribution in terms of age and sex. I think the sharing agriculture works very well. As I mentioned earlier, we try to achieve this by means of open innovation. We have already collaborated and cooperated with 90 organizations all over the world, including 32 organizations located in 6 countries all over the world. I'm coming here to sign a partnership with Barcelona Activa and signed this morning. And we are expecting a lot of other partners with this project. So let me finish my talk by showing a video which supports an aged lady for shopping. She is actually living alone and is not go out because it's bothering for shopping. So she can use a smartphone, but she wants to buy for input, you know. She wants to buy a mandarin. Sorry.
So, thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, sorry. So let me finish my talk. So please join our project, and thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you. Our next panelist is Mr. Adam Oblem. He's the manager of the Smart City Office at Wyndham City Council in Australia, and he's responsible for developing digital and technological systems that support, integrate, and embed urban innovation. So thank you, Adam.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity to address you today. We're very excited to share our story with you. Briefly, just to provide a little bit of context. Sorry, I'll push this forward first. There we go. Briefly, just to provide a little bit of context, I'm from Wyndham City Council, and we're on the western edge of Melbourne. Our population is characterised by a younger demographic and a rapidly growing population. Wyndham City recognised that new approaches to city management and new digital technologies provide a number of different opportunities. Today, we're going to share part of our story, which is focused on holographic computing. With advances in technology, it's an opportune time to start to sit there and think about what the future of local government might look like. And that's the most exciting part about digital technologies, when it allows us to ask the question of what if. Imagine a future when proposals can be compared against, can be iteratively tested against policies, live city data, and other proposals. Imagine a future where governments can work with engaged and informed citizens. And that's exactly what our holographic computing project was designed to do. The use of mixed reality is just one way the Wyndham City is looking to transform the way it does things. For those who don't know, mixed reality is the merging of real and virtual objects to create environments where physical and digital objects can coexist and interact. We know that GIS maps, numerical analysis, and two-dimensional blueprints often don't provide the information that stakeholders and citizens require. It's a little bit too complex for them to understand. What mixed reality does is it takes a complex idea and it breaks it down into an easier concept so that people can focus on a particular concept on basically equal footing. When HoloLens was released by Microsoft in November last year, Wyndham City recognised it was an opportunity to transform the way that it presented and used city data. Our first use of mixed reality was how we engaged with our community around the digital planning content in the Werribee CBD. The Werribee CBD is undergoing a massive transformation at the moment due to some land use zone changes. Currently, there are more than 30 development proposals between 3 and 20 stories. So Wyndham City used mixed reality to not only create a three-dimensional view of our future city, but also lay the foundation for a revolutionary two-dimensional decision-making tool. This project was very complex and new. There wasn't a lot of research available. So every step that we took, you know, we sort of faced little mini hurdles along the way, and it required a lot of agile thinking and entrepreneurial spirit relative to standard practices of local government. The project used drones, 3D modelling, visual design, holographic computing, and a whole range of geospatial analysis. So how did we approach such a greenfield, unexplored technology? Well, first and foremost, we conducted a number of interactive brainstorming sessions with multidisciplinary experts. So we brought in community engagement experts, planning experts, technologists, and various designers. Their insights into this project allowed us to shape a much better product for our citizens. This co-creation approach not only allowed us to create a better experience, but is shaping how we approach mixed reality as we progress through our various plans. Together, we created a powerful tool that we call WinLens. Not only do you see the three-dimensional model here, but we're able to overlay different two-dimensional layers such as Internet of Things sensors, customer data, and infrastructure data. The city platform was designed for limitless deployment and public sector-wide adoption. So whenever we get new data sets available, whether it's the customer data set or smart parking or something like that, we can easily integrate that into the platform. To date, we've integrated a number of different data sets. We use Pedestrian Counters to track both footpath and, pedestrian and bicycle traffic along walking trails and public open spaces. This information is very important for us to manage and plan our city. So users can actually put the headset on and they can easily interpret the amount of traffic that particular trails are attracting. Earlier this year, we implemented a number of smart bins. So in a similar way to the pedestrian counters, you can actually click on the individual bins and get a whole heap of basic business intelligence information there to show when it's more likely to fill up, etc., due to public events and stuff like that. The ability for us to immerse various stakeholders, such as our citizens and our staff and our politicians, into a digital environment so they can explore and understand our city has been most useful for us. For users, the learning curve associated with understanding some of the complex built environment scenarios that we present to them is obliterated. They can quite clearly see what we're trying to do and the various planning proposals. At the moment, we have the benefit to developers is they can see what opportunities are available in our city. Decision makers can plan better because the information is easily understood for them. And most importantly, our citizens can share their viewpoint around particular things in our city. Today, we're using the WinLens product both through our urban planners and our economists. Our urban planners are using it to understand planning developments, and our economists are using it for investment attraction purposes. Tomorrow, as you can see, the opportunities are limitless. Throughout this project, we've come across a number of learnings, both technical and project related. From a technical perspective, the use of drones produced a very cumbersome three-dimensional model that we needed to cut down to a size that the HoloLens device could handle. Similarly, the use of high-resolution imagery was a little bit too large for the computational power of the HoloLens device. So we did have to cut down a lot of this to reduce the overall power of the platform that we built. For most users, it's the first time they use the HoloLens. Whilst we established it so it was both voice and air tap commands, so it was functionally very easy to use, a number of users struggled a little bit. So what we did was we implemented a shared experience platform where a host could actually walk other users through the platform. Whilst the primary goal was to increase participation with our citizens and engage them in the various processes that we present to them, And we've conducted over 400 immersive sessions with our users, so about 2,000 people have been reached through this platform. We are looking to harvest a greater amount of qualitative feedback, so such as putting in embedded surveys and a range of, say, eye tracking systems, so we can see the areas of the models that attract particular citizens. So for example, if we're showing them a new playground or a new public space, and we notice that they're looking at a particular area, we can actually gain some far greater feedback out of that. It's really difficult to predict where something like augmented reality is going to go. But we do know that Microsoft and companies like Apple are investing billions and billions of dollars into this space. In fact, Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, was recently quoted as saying, in a number of years, we're going to look at augmented reality and wonder how we ever lived without it, much the same way that we think about our smartphones today. Local government provides a number of different services. For us to capture the full opportunity provided by something like augmented reality, we're going to have to work on our two-way relationships with both our partners and our citizens to ensure that we get a maximum benefit. For Wyndham, we see the simulation of future scenarios and the display of live city data through the holographic computing platform as a key component of our strategic planning. Our journey, really, what we're showing you today is just our first foray into this approach. We believe that the use of holographic visualization can really change the way that government engages and communicates with its citizens. We've noticed a drastic change in the people that we can collaborate with. The younger generation are coming to us asking about our various platforms that we're using so they can understand what we're trying to do. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much, Adam. So our next panelist is Mr. Francois Tsunaide. He's an expert in solar energy business development, and he works as an advisor of the Solar Coin Foundation. And today's talk is going to be about this. So thank you.
Thank you very much. So we're here to demystify a little bit Bitcoin and blockchain technology, and to explain a little bit about SolarCoin in the case of prosumer incentivizing. I'd like just to start by asking in the room if any one of you has Bitcoin or if you're aware of blockchain technology. That's great. Okay. Makes my work easier. There's less eyebrows. So we're going to explain a little bit what journey actually took us here. And obviously it relates to a lot of macro elements and a lot of bits and pieces which we put together and which helped us bring out the SolarCoin solution. But through the journey, through my journey at least, I was a solar installer and installed a couple of hundred solar installations in Belgium. And so what we realized is that we actually need an incentive for powering the energy transition. This comes obviously at a moment in time where we have a lot of discussions about pollution levels. This map here is a map from the European Commission dating 2010 about particulate matter, so fine dust, diesel engine dust, for example. And this is just to show that, well, we're tackling this situation also with SolarCoin. For people who aren't familiar on what a solar installation is about, we're looking at a general average size of 4 to 5 kilowatt peak. So that's about a dozen solar panels on a rooftop for a residential solar installation. This is typical of Germany, France, Belgium, so Benelux regions. But this 4 to 5 kilowatt solar installation could deliver about 5 or 6 solar coins then, on a yearly basis. I'll get back to the solar coin topic a bit later. And what we see through the energy transition is that it's going to be massively solar-led. It's going to be very decentralized through applications such as blockchain technology. It's also going to be distributed and democratized, so meaning anybody can, well, solar energy should impact anybody throughout the world, and anybody could participate into the Bitcoin, blockchain, and SolarCoin ecosystems. And with SolarCoin, we're coming on top of the existing feed-in tariffs as a global incentive scheme for solar power producers to use them. We're also going to talk about trading of energy on peer-to-peer decentralized applications. I'll get back to that specifically. But the European Commission is also discussing this and putting this into its agenda to enable prosumers to deliver energy to the grid and billing it to another prosumer. We're also looking at digital assets as a universal basic income. And so meaning if you can generate a digital asset in complement of good deeds, so as an incentive then, we could see people receiving money through digital assets then as well. So think, for example, if you're running your CPU on mining Bitcoin, if your CPU is idle for your computer, then it might be receiving Bitcoin, or in this case then SolarCoin, for driving the power and putting at disposition of a network the power of your CPU. This could actually be a universal, considered as a universal basic income as well. Today's industry, solar industry, is already massively big. When we look at the values out there, it's 300 gigawatt peak of solar installations. And this represents already 3% of global capacity. So global energy, electricity capacity sits at about 10,000 gigawatts. So solar is already very big. But it's not enough, obviously, for different reasons. We're looking at, for example, developing nations who are going to leapfrog our utility scale, grid scale business grids, current grids, and they're going to develop microgrids in these developing nations. So think solar coupled to microgrids as a very big solution for developing nations in Asia, Africa particularly, as well as South America. And if we look at, well, the figures, Bloomberg New Energy Finance figures, or the International Energy Agency, we're going to decouple by about a factor 20 the amount of energy which we're going to couple to the grid. So blockchain is really just about, I'm going to speed up there. Blockchain is really just about a database, and this database everybody can participate into. In the case of the SolarCoin blockchain, what we do is we incentivize people for producing solar energy for free, but then you can publish any form of data to that blockchain as well. A couple of big names which are going to hear around the sector. We have Power Ledger in Australia, Grid Singularity in Europe, and LO3 Energy with the Brooklyn microgrid in New York. What these companies are doing is they're doing peer-to-peer energy trading. So they're going to use a microgrid, deliver energy into that microgrid, and enable a prosumer who has solar panels and a battery set to deliver in real time that energy to someone else who needs that energy at that moment in time. This all runs onto an app which runs without, so independently from you, meaning that you don't have to activate it. So it delivers the information to the grid operator and also to the prosumer, the effective prosumer, which is using that electricity. Very quickly on the topic here, what we see is if you couple blockchain to artificial intelligence, you get better prescriptive analytics. So meaning by that you can get a better idea of what is going to be produced where, when, and what at what moment in time. Just another concept is for microgrid solutions, if you tackle existing solar kits, you put them together into a microgrid solution, enabling again either of the participants into that microgrid to deliver energy from one household to another. And in the case of SolarCoin, we're much different from the Bitcoin protocol in the sense that we're a couple 100 times more efficient in energy. So in order to run SolarCoin onto your computer, you just need solar panels, and the solar panels are actively mining for you the amount of energy, well, through the amount of energy which they're producing, they're actively mining for you solar coins then. So no need for servers. Those servers don't obviously use electricity. And so in the case of SolarCoin, what you're doing is you're actually incentivizing people to deliver energy to the grid as opposed to using servers to use electricity. We also grant through the POST algorithm. This enables us to grant a 2% interest rate to participants, and so you can actually see it as a bank account then. Very quickly, we're into 46 countries already, and we've incentivized about 2 million, so 2,000 gigawatt hours of solar power through SolarCoin. So people can connect their solar installation to the grid independently, so anybody can just register his facility by providing a grid connection document. And we're also working with leading inverter manufacturers, monitoring platforms to integrate through an API, or with a script for solar manufacturers to integrate also SolarCoin onto their existing equipment. For the end user, it's really just a 3-step process. It's registering online his solar installation, validating the data, obviously, and then translating those solar coins into Swiss francs, euros, dollars, whichever, so he can actually make use of those solar coins either in the form of digital assets or in the form of fiat currencies then. And just mentioning also here that we work with crowdfunding companies. The Sun Exchange is a very interesting one because they incentivize solar installations. They crowdfund solar installations anywhere in the world using the Bitcoin protocol. And on top of that, you receive then solar coins for running the network then. And so SolarCoin has been recognized by the International Renewable Energy Agency as a means to reward current owners and to incentivize, obviously, future owners of solar installations. And we're running a couple of projects also with the UNDP, United Nations Development Program, also on the crowdfunding aspect of solar installations. And that's it for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So our next panelist is Mr. Manu Monasterio. He works at ESADE as a business school as an artificial intelligence marketing professor. He has been working for 21 years in China as a strategist, specialized in adapting the value proposition of Western companies to the Chinese market reality. Thank you, Manu.
Thank you very much. I would like to say firstly to my friend Hugo Valenti, the General Manager of Smart City Expo World Congress, thank you very much for the opportunity to be sharing with you as a local Barcelona man, local man, the experience, and with that amazing group, no? From Japan, from Australia, from Andorra, from Russia, and for us, Rosa and me from Barcelona. So first of all, thank you very much to everyone. And I will focus my speech on Barcelona, that, as you know well, is Spain, the 3rd most visited country in the world. The forecast in tourists for this year, it will be close to 81 million people that will arrive to Barcelona. And I will focus my speech on the citizen of Barcelona. So we don't have any robot, we don't have any machine, we don't have any device. We focus the speech on international people arriving to Barcelona and using artificial intelligence in order to deeply know what they are looking for. So please, let me ask you, if you think that that lady over here came from the north of Europe, which is Germany, Finland, Sweden, go like that, please. If you think that, very good. If you think that this lady comes from Spain, Italy, France, the Mediterranean side of Europe, go like that, please. Very interesting. It seems to be the winner option. Very good. I'm very glad to introduce you my friend Nadia. She speaks 129 languages, and she's able to manage 3 billion data in just a few seconds in order to know perfectly what the local citizens are looking for. So, my dear friends and my dear colleagues, I will focus my speech on my friend Nadia, that is able, as a smart machine, to know perfectly what the citizen is looking for. And here, based on my job with my colleagues of Harvard Group, with my colleagues of ESADE University, and with my colleagues of the Barcelona City Hall, I'm very glad to introduce what we have created in order to deeply know the customer and their needs. And it is the 8 M's of artificial intelligence marketing. We are not talking anymore about the 4 P's. I have an excellent relationship with Philippe Kotler, product, price, place, promotion. But I need to tell you that 4 P's were created on 1960. So no robots, no smart machines, even no internet on that time. So what we have prepared with Hugo Valenti and the whole team, and that will be the base of the exercise, collective exercise that we start now, we will focus on how to deeply know what the customers, in this case the citizens, are looking for. Now I tell you the main concepts, and then we will go through the main idea. First one, machine to machine. Come on, you don't need to be afraid. We are not talking about Will Smith movie anymore, iRobot. But let me ask you, that amazing man working in Wall Street with a Swiss watch of 3,000 euros and with a super stylish Italian tie, when she decides to buy one stock market company, the information came from one machine that gets information from another machine. If you go to the Barcelona port, to my friends of the activities logistics zone, and you enter the, for example, my friends of Honda warehouse, you will realize that there is not even a human person. Everything is managed by machines. So what we are saying here is machine to machine is important, but the most important thing is that as the humans, we control the whole process. So here, for my job with the Barcelona City Hall government, I'm very glad to introduce that what we are doing in order to deeply know what Nadia is looking for, so the citizen, we are working hand by hand with the machines. So the second M, man to machine. Let's focus on, and as the sentence you can see here, the robots put with certainty the data, and we, the humans, led the smart machines with our creativity, strategical vision, and hearts. The third one is we get the smart data. Being able, the smart machine, my friend Nadia, to manage 3 billion data is just a few minutes. And using that, we go through the M glocal. As you know well in China, 这是2天以前，我们在北京说话, as we say in China with my Beijing friends. 2 days ago, in Beijing, we have the Chinese Black Friday. Do you know how many millions euros were sold in one day? For example, let's go to the gentleman over here. May I ask you, the Chinese Black Friday, how many euros? Eh? Sorry? Brilliant. What is your name, sir? Philippe, you have said that perfectly. Very good, Mr. Philippe. Yeah? So we are talking about the amazing quantity of 25,000 million euros sold in one day. And do you know, Mr. Philippe, which X% of those sales were done through the mobile devices? 95%. So very good, Mr. Philippe. Once we have the information, the smart data, we need to send that to the final customer, that in that case is the citizens, through the mobile devices. That's what they say, MEM glocal, mobile glocal. So once we have that, and we are using with smart data made by the human people, us, and the machines working together, we are able to arrive to the 5M, which is making smart products. Please, let me ask you, and it's a privilege to be today thinking and doing that collective exercise with you. Your marketing team, when they decide to do a strategy, they are working with 10% of the available information of the market, 20%, 40%, 50%. If you think it's 10, 20%, please go like that. Very good. If you think it's 20%, please go like that. If you think it's 30%, go like that. So the winner number, it seems to be between 10 and 30%, right? So I'm very glad to tell you that Nadia is able to manage more than 95% information of your target market and your target client. In this case, talking about cities, the citizens. So if we want to be efficient in marketing strategies, we need to go through the 5th M, which is marketing dynamic prices. Nadia will evaluate your face in more than 30,000 points. And having very clear through the face scan and arriving to your Facebook, to your Twitter, to your WhatsApp, to your LinkedIn, to your email address, she will be able to know perfectly what you are looking for. So, in this case, it's very clear, the smart machine will let us to know deeply what the citizen is looking for. And finally, as my dear colleague of Australia and Japan and Andorra mentioned before, and I'm sure that my Russian colleague will be amazing in presentation too, as you have said before, we are talking about the hologram experience. It is said that with the iPhone 12, you will be able to be like Tom Cruise in the Minority Report movie. You will be able to buy in your products through an hologram experience, and then you will have one drone that will deliver the product in your bag just few meters away. I need to tell you that here in Europe, we are already working with the citizens under the multi-channels in order to make possible for you improved quality of life, not being obliged to be in physical stores, but just with your iPhone 12, opening an hologram and enjoying an amazing hologram experience. And the last one, and I want to be very respectful, dear Mrs. Rosa, moderator, drive us to the last one, which is machine-generated communication. If you are working with a super multinational that is focused in advertisement, and the creative director tell you, we need to follow that way, that is the slogan, that is the concept, that is the target, are you going to say no to that very brilliant creative director of that top 5 advertisement company? Normally not. You will probably say not. But my friend Nadia will analyze every single city, their marketing and communication strategies, and we are able to prove and check if the communication media and the mediums that they are using are the most efficient one or not. So here, once again, we are talking about, as you can see, a unique word between machines, artificial machines, and us, the human people. In order to what? In order to deeply know what the citizens is looking for, and based on that, be able to build amazing initiatives as the one you are seeing now. So let's finish with that sentence. Artificial intelligence will not replace smart cities marketing managers, but marketing managers who use artificial intelligence, yes, will replace the ones who won't. So thank you very much, and I'm very glad to invite you to introduce one robot in your life. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to introduce our last panelist, Mr. Borisov. He's the founder and CEO of Vimana Global. He combines more than 15 years of corporate executive experience with a strong passion about innovative technologies. He's currently leading the team developing Vimana's novel autonomous aerial vehicle technology, and they are developing a blockchain-backed airspace management platform. So I think it's going to be a very challenging talk also, complementing the talk about using blockchain technologies. So thank you.
All right. Guys, first of all, it's a great pleasure just like to meet these speakers. I didn't even expect that it's going to be that disruptive. But then, well, I completely agree with the last speaker. We're not disrupting anything. We're just providing like really valuable add-on so to make life more vivid. Well, let me tell you the brief story how all that happened. You know, I spent 1/3 of my life sleeping by this moment, the third of my life working, and another third of my life was just I spent, like in a traffic jam. So, there was a joke about Moscow, that, the way to the airport usually takes the longer than the flight itself. That's why we created Vimana, and actually, that's how we came to this market. But it's not only, just like nowadays, I have to jump now, well, just actually to the big thing, which we integrate in our Vimana, and our big project from 2015, it's called the blockchain airspace platform. And now we're actually entering the new era where the peer-to-peer communications, they're changing the reality. Nowadays the blockchain is actually just kind of like redefine the economy. And actually, talking about our company, there are aerospace companies, and there are blockchain companies. So we are the first blockchain aerospace company. And we're delivering to the market, like here I kind of refer to this diagram, which actually shows, the really nearest future. And actually, it kind of outlines the upcoming research, marketing research, which are going to, we have just contact with, and they're going to be like released by the end of this year. And actually, they forecast that this market is going to hit the target 1 trillion by 2035, which is remarkable. But it's not only about the money. It's actually about the new era of the mobility, where we're going from just like from 2D mobility to 3D mobility. That's why this huge pie is actually divided in segments, and the biggest segment we believe is urban air mobility. It's all about the actually instant transportation from point A to point B, without fear, without ground control, and actually just like without the border. Well, that's how we actually focus. We are concentrated there on the two key markets, which is like urban air mobility and agriculture in our case. And with our proprietary technology, we strive to get the big stake of this market very, very soon. Well, now let me probably show you the brief visualization how it's gonna look like nearest future. Then we go on.
Our cities are overflowing. The United Nations says today's urban population of 3.9 billion people will almost double with 2.5 billion moving into the cities by 2030. Most urban dwellers drive. We spend 2 to 3 weeks every year just sitting in the worst traffic jams imaginable, and they are only getting worse. What can we do about it? We can get mad. We can rage against each other. But there is a better way. Throughout the entire history of human civilization, man has wanted to fly. From ancient Sumerian myths to the legend of Vimana flying machine, from the Kitty Hawk flight of the Wright brothers, to Project X's self-landing space launcher rocket, the story of aviation is the story of human evolution. We at Vimana believe that unused airspace in major cities is the answer to inevitable urban overpopulation. This is why we created a new class of vertical takeoff and landing autonomous aerial vehicles, Vimana VTOL AAV. Its completely automated operation mode allows fly-by-wire aerial flights without pilots and without any help from passengers. Key technological features of the aircraft allow for quiet vertical takeoff and landing. Vimana could serve both as public transportation and personal vehicle. But how does it not run into each other and into other aircraft? The answer? Blockchain. This is the second major solution that we at Vimana are launching. We have equipped every Vimana aircraft with blockchain node. That is communicating with other Vimana nodes. This is how our crafts don't need a central control tower. They are in constant communication with each other and with other parties that are interoperating with our network, all verified by blockchain. Parties interested in joining our Vimana ecosystem are welcome to interconnect with it via our industry-first blockchain-based and blockchain-regulated airspace transportation protocol. We at Vimana are thrilled to enable the next quantum leap in the evolution of urban development, aerospace engineering, and blockchainization of the global economy. Join the Vimana ecosystem. Deregulate Class B airspace. End the gridlock. Go airborne.
All right, yeah. So now, to keep the long story short, we are kind of thrilled to present this project. And the thing is, we just combining, we answering one of the biggest challenges of the smart cities around the globe, which is the gridlock of the mega cities. We're providing our proprietary technology, and we are putting that on a actually on a blockchain. That's how we providing the airborne, our blockchain aerospace platform. It's a huge number of the flying nodes, which in our cases can carry people, can carry cargoes. But in matter of fact, it's actually one decentralized network of constantly interoperating and intercommunicating with each other, processing, implementing power machines. And that, that all based on our actually proprietary vertical takeoff and landing autonomous aerial vehicle technology, which we patented in USPTO last year. And we, in the end of the day, just we kind of creating the new category of the market, which is blockchain aerospace. I mean, the Manu universe consists of like 3 significant parts, and the part number 1 is actually what I just explained. Is actually it's actually the network of the flying nodes, flying machines carrying people or cargoes, and the nodes and the master nodes on the ground. All of them perform the network, which constantly just like provides the information and data within the network. Just like making this a really quickly, just really quickly developing working protocol. Then we also embrace the partners here, because all that thing cannot work without the institutional partners and the smart cities, where we currently in touch with more than 100 smart cities, and we kind of deploying in demo mode our blockchain aerospace platform in 5 of them in 2020. And that thing is also consists of the ecosystem which embrace all the multiverse of the service providers. Here, just like briefly, what it's all about. This one, it's clear. So we're providing the network operating system. Then our land, our land unit consists of 2 layers. It's an infrastructure layer and an application layer. Infrastructure is actually all municipal authorities, and application is just like all the guys who provide now the protocols with KYC. Then to them, we're providing the complete, compliant platform with just like 100% KYC about any participant, including the passenger. That's how we're getting the 100% network responsible and network transparent system. And into the ecosystem, we embrace all the entities who providing us, who actually interested in, in working with Manu in terms of any business. That's how we, I wouldn't be standing on this stage without that beautiful bird, because actually we designed it. Well, I'm not able to talk for which company, but we designed that bird for one top 3 transport communication company beginning of this year, and this is really remarkable. It can fly, it can deliver 400 cargo or passenger within 900 kilometers range, and which is really remarkable. It's it's not flying battery. I'm not belittling. I'm just like saying the gist. That thing flies. That's why we efficiently employing the physics of the air. That's how we get in economical efficiency of our VTOL AV, and that's how we are capable of actually big large economy scaling of this machine. It's real. So with our solution, we are solving the number of the VTOL AV market problems. The biggest of them is actually the sensitivity to stall, because all this almost all these machines, before that, they were really the stalling white takeoff and landing, and actually during the flight. We just don't have that problem. We provide them auto suspension auto suspension wheel car in the air. Then we can be scaled to the larger aircraft, and then we also we kind of have lean production cycle around the globe. That's how we are price makers, but not price takers. We're not the only one solution on this market, but we are the best. We're not sensitive to challenging terrains. We provide extreme long flight endurance. We have close to 0 infrastructure and maintenance cost, and again we provide the machine with high index of airworthiness. Well, this just allows infrastructure partners and the team. Since I have 30 seconds left, all that wouldn't happen without our remarkable team. We are kind of located around the globe in Bay Area in California, in Dubai, in Abu Dhabi, and in Singapore, and also part of our production in Russia. And we have a number of stellar advisors. And what unites us, that we're all true believers in that thing. We're just we're all true believers, and actually in the personal flight in a really nearest future. Well, and some stellar advisors. We have the recent commander of ISS, also heading our advisory board. And we've just done a big job to enter the market. So I'm trying to stick to the schedule. And now we're actually in close touch with the smart cities, actually running the feasibility studies and executive studies in order to make this thing real in a demo mode in 2020. So I just will call on your board, just go airborne with Manu. I hope I didn't ruin your timeline.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So now is the time for you. If you want to ask a question, you have the microphone. So you can also use the Ask and Vote application, but maybe you can do that directly if you want. No? maybe I can raise a question for you, the blockchain experts. How do you think that city authorities or national governments will face losing the control of strongly regulated sectors such as energy or aerospace management? Yeah.
Well, I love that question. So the thing is, we are not disrupting any of the currently the existing infrastructure systems. We're just providing them the really valuable add-on in terms of the like less human operating thing as protocol, because we're building the blockchain aerospace protocol, which is going to involve less human. That's why we're going to take the best out of the currently existing, just like all the telemetry system and all air traffic controls like towers and actually the system, and just like to add them, just like to show them actually how the future gonna look like when we minimize the risk of the actually that thing. Because in matter of fact, that airspace wasn't developing. The airspace above the smart cities wasn't developing in a way it should be and will be, just because of like two big things. First, it's a human error in piloting small aircrafts, and second, it's a human error in controlling the great number of those aircrafts. That's why we're just bringing them exactly the thing they need in order to make it true.
Okay, Francois, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I kind of relate also to that totally, because blockchain in the energy sector isn't really disrupting what is already in place with the grid infrastructure, such as what we have in Europe, in Northern Europe at least. I'm not sure if we, okay. And when you look at SolarCoin, it comes on top of government-backed subsidies. So we're talking to regulators, and they're saying, well, is it the same as an SREC, for example? Is it the same as a certificate of guarantee of origin? And to which the answer is no. So there's kind of a laissez-faire. And if you look at peer-to-peer energy transactions, what we're seeing is this is clearly written into the Solar Power Europe, for example, so into the European Solar Association's asks, so regulatory asks towards the European Commission and towards the European Parliament. So these are new business models which are being enabled. Think SolarCoin as an incentive to power prosumers into the energy transition, and think then peer-to-peer energy transactions as being the new way to bill electricity from one prosumer to another one. And the regulatory aspect is being tackled at European level, and then from that it's trickling down to national levels. Yeah.
Interesting. We have a, sorry, I just lost the we have a question here also that was how can, I think that is for Adam, how can municipalities adapt these disruptive technologies?
Look, there's a number of ways that other local councils can, or local governments, and even higher level governments can use something like this that we developed. So the whole goal of what we did was like a starting procedure where we can actually add data that's streamed through the cloud. So a lot of the stuff that, like let's say we wanted to share it with another local government, that all they would have to do would be add the data to the cloud, and the platform would actually display things. The actual development time for the project was about 6 weeks to get the full product up and going. So, it's not an incredibly long journey, so to speak.
Okay.
Sorry, I would like to add that by my experience working with Cambridge Analytica, that is the artificial intelligence company working with the UK, United Kingdom government, managing their strategy for leaving the European Union, and also the company working with Donald Trump in order to help him analyzing every single citizen, as the one I have shown you before, analyze it in more than 120 key factors. When Donald Trump arrived to the White House, basically were two sentences, the ones that give him the power. The first, make America great again. First, and second, America first. So in that context, I would like to introduce what we have talked before, artificial intelligence marketing, in order to deeply analyze from the government perspective, what are the citizens exactly looking for in terms of education, in terms of health, in terms of society, in terms of culture. So artificial intelligence marketing is a key factor too.
Thank you, Manu. We have another question from the application. I think this is for Mr. Suzuki. Is how are disruptive mindsets affecting citizens' life?
Oh, it's a very difficult question, but as mentioned in my presentation, the aging and living alone is a very big problem. So if we remove the challenge, I think people are going out and getting together and communicate each other so that society will change and really became smart, I think.
Okay. Do you have any last question from the floor? No? So I think that we need to conclude. I'm sure most of us will love to stay here for longer, but I'm afraid that we need to end because we have the award ceremony just right now. And I would like to thank our speakers for showing us some great examples of disruptive technologies that can be used to empower our cities and to empower also our citizens. And thank you. You have certainly demonstrated us that the future is now. Thank you.